What is the trade theory all about? What is the relevance of a trade theory? What are the features of a trade theory? So let's look these details in brief. Welcome you all to the new video. So what does a trade theory deal with? The trade theories deal with the basis of trade. It explains how does the gainful trade between two nations happen. It explains why do the nations trade each other. It explains how do the nations trade each other. It explains when do the nations trade each other. That means why, how and when do the nations engage in export and import of the commodities. Trade theories are basically two nations, two commodity trade, basic trade model. As ultimately the trade happens between two nations and two commodities. We discuss India-China trade relations mostly these days. As India export some commodities to China on which India has got the comparative advantage. At the same time, China immensely export to India on which China has got the comparative advantage. That means the trade is determined by comparative advantage. And two nations trade model is enough to explain the basis of trade. As I said, comparative advantage is the trade base. As according to Adam Smith, it is absolute advantage. According to David Ricardo, it is comparative advantage. Here we use the term advantage is in terms of cost of production. So lower cost, higher advantage. Higher cost, lower advantage. And comparative advantage has been considered as the basis of trade ever since David Ricardo's theory. But later theories, even though recognized comparative advantage as the basis of trade, but what determines the comparative advantage is a point of discussion among the later economists. According to Haberler, it is differences in opportunity cost that make the nation make the comparative advantage. It is labor capital proportion according to Heckscher and O'Hillin, and it is technological innovation according to some other economists. It is transportation cost that determines the comparative advantage according to some other economists. So comparative advantage is recognized as the common basis of trade, but what determines the comparative advantage is the point of discussion among the economists. Like all the theories, trade theories too have the assumptions. Assumptions are in fact the preconditions for the validity, for the validation of the theory. Without a single assumption being fulfilled, the theory cannot be valid. So the theory will be valid, the trade theories will be valid only when the assumptions of the trade theory are fulfilled. And all the trade theories, most of the trade theories are in the context of perfect competition or competitive market, where there is no external intervention and the market will determine the destiny.